Hey, howdy everybody out there in YouTube land. It's a big land. There's lots of content. Thanks for coming to see One Foot of Books. Episode 10, I believe it is. Wow, 10 episodes. Man, never thought I'd make it this far, I tell ya. My name's Shard. This is One Foot of Books, where the basic gist of the show is I go through the book collection behind and around me, around about 1 foot at a time. 1 foot is 30 centimeters or so, give or take. I thought it sounded pretty cool. I was going to call it and do 2 foot of books, but 2 feet is a lot of books. It's like that. And the show would be like an hour long. And, in today's day and age, with kids' attention spans the way they are, no, 1 foot is good. 1 foot of books. I'm coming to you from the beautiful Blue Mountains of Australia, New South Wales, just outside of Sydney. It's wonderful up here. It's a change of seasons. We're heading into autumn. The temperature is dropping. There's a bit of rain around. The skies are a bit grey, but when the sun comes out, it's beautiful. It's autumn for me. I'm from New Zealand. Autumn, winter, spring are the best times here in Australia, like in terms of weather. It's amazing. You don't get weather like this anywhere else in the world. And, it's stunning. It's amazing. Summer, freeze me. Put me in a freezer, knock on the lid in 3 months. Summer is horrible here. It's like 40 degrees, hot. You have to kind of go to malls to escape it because you can't really go outside because it's too damn hot. And disgusting. Summer's disgusting. But anyway, enough about the weather. So I've got these little flies, the little black midges, that came in on a couple of pot plants that I bought, and they're flying around. I'm doing like natural things to get rid of them, like killing them with my hands. There's nothing more natural than that. No, but I also set up a little dish with vinegar and honey and some dish soap, and that's caught a bunch of them too, but they're still around. There's lots of them. So if I'm waving like that, don't call the people in the white coats. I'm not going through an episode. I'm just trying to catch these little things. Whew. Okay. Let's get into the episode. Let me refill my coffee here. How's your coffee? I usually get my coffee from a local distributor, but they're having a kid, and something's happened with, this kind of shut down a little bit until that's sorted. So I'm back on the $5 organic Coles ground coffee, which is not bad for $5, 250 grams. Coles, send me a lifetime supply. No, I don't need a lifetime supply of coffee. I don't mind paying $5 every couple of weeks. Anyway, let's get into this episode. I've got a lot to get through because I've got a bunch of thinner books and comic books and stuff. So there's a lot. It's a very compact list. It's a grower, not a shower. Top of the pile today, How to Build a Time Machine by Paul Davies. Paul Davies is a British physicist. This was published in 2001, popular science book. In it, he explores different, like, what could happen, ramifications-wise, of time travel. I read a bit of this years ago. I think I got it around about 2001 as a present from someone, possibly my parents. I haven't touched it since, and because I've been reading a bit of sci-fi of late, so I should really dip back into it. I do like reading about the weirdness of science and speculative science and science fiction and stuff like that. How to Build a Time Machine, 2001. The Idiot's Guide to Theories of the Universe. Again, I've used this a little bit for research studies. Idiot's guides are great. Don't let anyone tell you any different. They pack a lot of information into their pages, and they were kind of like the Wikipedia just before Wikipedia came out. But yeah, it's a great series of books, really. If you need help with something that you like, a new hobby, or wondering about different theories of the universe, for example, Idiot's Guides, man, surprising. I found this in a box of books in Marrickville. One day I was out wandering, found some books, and this was one of them. I've used it for research. I've never really sat down with it, and I don't think it's the kind of book you'd want to read cover to cover unless you're totally into the theories of the universe. But it explores cosmological as well as scientific, so it goes into basics, some of the big religious ideas about the formation of the universe, and into Big Bang Theory, of course. Not the terrible sitcom that for some reason lasted as long as it did, but the actual scientific theory about how everything came from nothing, and we'll go back to it again someday. Probably already has. Are we just figments of some deity's imagination? Splintered, chaotic, psychotic deity. Ed Wright, Lost and Found in History, Ghost Colonies. I picked this up. Where did I get this? This was the Salvos at Springwood last year. A great book. As I'm a white man getting older, history is my thing. So yeah, I do like history, and I like Ghost Colonies. It's got, of course, the classic Roanoke, but then it goes into a couple of pirate ones, Providence Island in the Caribbean Sea, Confederate colonies in Mexico, Sullivan Bay in New South Wales, never heard about that, Panama, Texas, the Carolinas, Paraguay, New Australia, and Cosme. It's really cool. Really cool book. If you're into history and stuff like that, it's nice having this kind of information in a good to go, ready to go, easy to read, fascinating little book. Little, it's not little, it's kind of big. Biggish, big enough. Big enough, that's what she said. The Ukulele Handbook. This kind of grew out of the Idler magazine, brainchild of Tom Hodgkinson. He's a British writer, raconteur, and reviver of the Idler movement that was kind of popularized by Dr. Johnson back in the 18th century. And Hodgkinson started up the Idler movement again, just taking things less seriously, finding joy in doing nothing, or, going for a walk, and whatever people think of classifies doing nothing. It's like, dude, embrace idleness. And in it, he stressed the importance of the ukulele for some reason. I don't know why. He was fascinated with the ukulele. But they did a course in it, and they've released a book, which came out, this is kind of a little bit old, I think. 2013, this first came out. And it's basically just a really easy to read, accessible intro to the history of ukuleles and how to play a ukulele successfully. I highly recommend this book if you're into ukulele or want to get into ukulele, or know someone who wants to get into ukulele. Get them a half-decent ukulele and this book. It's awesome. I highly recommend it. I found this in another box of books in Enmore, just around the corner from my house where I was living at the time, in Sydney, in the inner west, where it's trendy, but now it's just expensive. Miyamoto Musashi, The Book of Five Rings. The kind of most well-known samurai handbook outside of the Bushido Code and stuff like that. This is a really cool 1974 edition. I picked this up from the Salvos in Marrickville at some stage. It's got some cool photos. It's got some great reproduction of woodcuts and stuff like that. So this was written back in the 17th century in feudalistic Japan by the samurai Musashi. And I've never read it. Apparently it's pretty heavy. It's kind of like a what's the word? Anyway, you can read it alongside things like The Art of War, Sun Tzu. It's, you know, I hasten to say anything about it because I haven't read it. But I do like this edition. I like that I got it, and it's a pretty cool edition. It's, you know, almost 50 years old. And I got it for nothing, next to nothing. And I'll read it someday. I will, I promise. The Book of Five Rings. No logo. Naomi Klein. This was an important book for me. This came out the year 2000 when I was at uni and starting to think a lot more about the world and how it works. And this book came out and it was culture shaping, culture smashing. And she continues to release books that do that. And this was the first big one. And I hadn't read it in 20 years. I read it when I was at uni. It blew my mind. It's this crazy, amazing exploration of corporate power in America and around the world, how it's affected culture, how it just kind of, you know, we're all slaves to it. And it's a little bit dated now in that it uses examples from like the 80s and 90s and before, but still very, very worthwhile reading. You can find a copy almost anywhere now. Brand new bookshops bookshops that sell brand new ones will have it in stock. I see it around quite often at op shops and secondhand bookshops, so it's around. This is it's a British edition from 2000. I don't know why it's this big, but yeah, great book from a very important thinker of our generation. And yeah, I'm a big fan of this book. I would recommend it to anyone. And it is around, and it is heavy, but it's very engaging, and I wouldn't say easy to read, but compelling, quite compelling. And she's on one of my favorite radio shows quite often too, Democracy Now! With Amy Goodman and Juan Gonzalez. Love those guys. What have I got here? Adbusters. Going along the same culture jamming line as Naomi Klein. I've got a few of these in the stack. I got a bunch of these when I was writing for New Dawn magazine here in Australia. I got a care package from the editor one day, and there was a stack of these. And Adbusters is great. I think I had a subscription for a little while. I think they're just online now. They used to do these awesome print books and just full of like cool graphics and art and stuff like that, and you know, you can probably still pick them up at like an anarchist bookshop. People who tend to have them though tend to keep a hold of them because they are really good, and you can kind of flip back into them, and they're great like time capsules as well. And these ones, the ones I've got, I think are from, when's this from? Oh, I can't even tell because it's just printed in such a way that you just can't tell when it's from. Oh, there we go, 2013. So a bunch of them I've got are from around 2012, 2013. Adbusters, yeah, cool. Check out their website. If you can afford a subscription, get it. Like, they do really good stuff. Anime, kind of a history of anime, 1958 to 1988. I think my mum got me this because I watched a few anime movies back in the 90s when I was living at home. And that, of course, makes her think that I'm a huge anime fan. I'm not a huge anime fan. That is to say that I don't think anime is not awesome. Anime is awesome. I just I don't give as much time as a lot of people do out there. It's a culture, man. It's totally a culture. I totally respect it. The anime that I have watched, I've loved. Not all of it, but you know, anime is an important movement. And this is a cool, you know, it's a very cool, very easy to read history of the movement from 1958 to 1988. Where's this from? Protoculture. Printed by Protoculture, 1993. Yeah. There you go. Would do really well paired with that book I talked about in an earlier episode, A Drifting Life by Tatsumi, which kind of charts the beginnings of the manga movement in Japan post World War II. Yeah, cool book. I haven't read it. I've flipped through it a few times. I haven't watched a lot of anime. I haven't watched anime in a long time. But yeah, I very much respect anime. More Adbusters. Adbusters. When's this from? So this is all kind of pre-Trump. Thank God. You know, I wish I'd got more post-Trump. More Adbusters. Adbusters. Yeah, cool stuff, man. I don't even know if they're still around. I'm sure they are in some way. Adbusters. Adbusters. Was that 2010? Yeah, like I say, I think they've gone fully digital because, you know, printing is expensive and they never really had a lot of money. But they do important stuff, the old Adbusters. They really started that Buy Nothing Day. The counterbalance to that Black Friday BS that was forced on us by the major retailers. Because that's all we are, human consumers. Homo consumero. Post Office. Bukowski. Got a few Bukowskis in here. I'm very glad to have this copy. Found it at a Salvo's. I believe it was in Marrickville. It is a 1984 edition from Black Sparrow Press. The press that really started printing Bukowski stuff. 1984 edition. Someone left a Bukowski illustrated postcard in there too from 1988. Radio still plays music as he hits the bottle again. Post Office is a great book. If you've not read any Bukowski, or if you have read Bukowski and you haven't read Post Office, I highly recommend it. I've probably read it like 3 times. It's got some really unsavory stuff in it, as was Bukowski's style. There's a part in it that would not play in modern day writing, and it's very off-putting when you read it today. But the rest of it is awesome. Awesome. Just, sorry, coffee's not good for your voice when you're talking. And I should probably drink less of it. I learned that when I was doing community radio. Don't drink coffee before you get on air. Didn't listen, did I? Didn't listen today. Great book. I love this edition. I'm glad that I have this edition. I've read it a few times. I try to keep it in good, like, I don't, you know, it's in good condition for, you know, 45-year-old book almost. Or 40-year-old, I should say. Post Office Bukowski. Jessica Page Morrell, Riding Out the Storm. I've read a little bit of this book as evidenced by this bookmark. I would have read this a long time ago. It's one of those writer's handbooks kind of things that kind of, you know, inspires and helps you to write. Think the Artist's Way, Kate Grenville's The Writing Book, that kind of thing. I think I used it for a little bit when I was in a writing group in Marrickville. And it's just about getting over your hurdles, stuff like that. Art of War kind of thing. No, sorry, not Art of War. War of Art. You know, getting over your limitations and just doing the work, writing. Yeah, haven't read it in a long time, but it's still in the collection. Sam Stern, Eat Vegetarian. I don't know who Sam Stern is. I don't. Looking at this book now, I don't think I've ever even opened this book. My friend Rachel got it for me for my birthday years ago. No, I've never looked at this book before. I probably have, but I don't remember it. When's this from? When's this from? Who's that guy? Is that Sam Stern? Who the hell is Sam Stern? Sam Stern is passionate about cooking. His previous cookbooks, Cooking Up a Storm, Real Food Real Fast, Get Cooking, and Student Cookbook have been translated into 10 languages. There you go. When's this published and who the bloody hell is Sam Stern? Oh, 2010. Alright. Susan Stern is a writer, teacher, voice coach, and theatre director. Looks like Sam's mum. Yeah. No, I gotta look into it more because I do like vegetarian food and I am a vegetarian. Well, pescatarian. I eat fish every once in a while, but not too much. Alright, let's get into some comic books. It's gonna be a long show. I need more coffee to help break up my voice. Alright, some comics. I've got a few comics down the bookshelf. Bottom shelf. Kingdom Come. Alex Ross and Mark Waid. If you're a comic book fan, you know who Alex Ross is. He's the comic book artist who paints quite, not hyper realistically, but very realistically, and he paints his comics. And this is a great example of the Alex Ross comic style. And the Mark Waid story is awesome as well. It's very hero's journey kind of, you know, I won't say basic things, but big things about, you know, heroism. What is a hero? What happens when, like, the power of heroes kind of dissipates, and, you know, it explores a world, an alternate reality where Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, they're still around, but the second and third generation of superheroes, like those born of the superheroes and supervillains, are coming into their own, and there's lots of them, and they're just kind of running amok around the world with these crazy powers. And then Superman's like, we've got to get these guys under control, and I don't think he talks like that, but yeah, and then it pushes the, like, you know, you're a hero or you're an enslaver, or you know, what gives you the right to be a hero and we can't be a hero. Fantastic art, great story. One of the big comics, I think, of all time. You can get it in trade paperback, almost any comic book shop or online. I paid $20 for this, which was a great price. Probably like 15 years ago, maybe even longer. It first came out in 1997 in serial form. But yeah, great book, Kingdom Come. Ghost World. Daniel Close, of course. He's done a bunch of comics. A few of them being adapted into movies. Ghost World was his first big one that got adapted, and the movie's great. The comic book is great. Got his all, like, his stylized kind of, his art style and the kind of 90s slacker kind of thing. It was published between 93 and 97. And this edition is from 1998. Excuse me. Good Lord. Coffee. I'm going to drink less. This is a testament to how disorganized my bookshelves are. This is The Invisibles trade paperback volume 7, completely out of order with the other ones. It's the last in the series. It's called The Invisible Kingdom. The Invisibles, if you haven't read it, it's a key. It's a key to different realities and different ways of thinking. And it's a great read. It kind of falls a little bit apart here and there, but I loved it. Loved it when I started reading it. Loved it when I finished reading it. And I still go back to it now and then to read it again. It's a great series. Grant Morrison just blew it out of the park. One of the defining comic book series of the 90s, early 2000s. Highly, 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 massively influential on culture. The Matrix basically ripped off The Invisibles. But The Matrix ripped off a lot of stuff, let's be honest. Not that I'm bagging out The Matrix. First one's great. All the rest, get in the bin. Yeah. This is volume 7. It's the last, collects the last editions before the end of the series. And there's not much I can say about the plot because I don't want to ruin it for anyone who hasn't read it. Go out and read The Invisibles. You can get them online. They'll be around. The trades are constantly being published. And yeah, I recommend anything by Grant Morrison. He gets a little hit and miss after a while. Like if you start reading a lot of him and you're just like, all right, Grant, I see what you're doing here. You need to take a break. Like, well, not him, but you know, if you read a lot of Alan Moore stuff, a lot of the big writers, you start seeing stuff repeating, and you're just like, all right, I don't know. You have to kind of like stagger reading them, you know. Speaking of Alan Moore, Tom Strong, book 3. Tom Strong was a great throwback to like the Flash Gordon kind of serial adventure stuff that Alan Moore started with his America's Best Comics line back in the early 2000s. Very family friendly, kind of on the surface. Like if your kids are into comics and they can read, man, Tom Strong would blow their minds. And it's awesome. It's got some great ideas. Quite subversive, but not to the point of Alan Moore's other stuff where it's disturbing. Really cool ideas that he plays with in terms of like the creation of Tom Strong and the alternate reality New York that he lives in, and heroes and villains and you know, adventures and technology. Really cool. I really recommend Tom Strong. He got different writers in after like book 3 and 4 and 5. He kind of took his personal focus off it, but comes back every once in a while. And you can tell when Alan Moore comes back to his writing his stories. But he really gave it out to other writers to explore trippy ideas and stuff, and in a Flash Gordon-y kind of serial adventure theme and scope. And yeah, cool books, man. Tom Strong, awesome. Getting close to the end. This is a Witcher omnibus that I got from my friend Rachel at the bookshop. It's got a back cover missing, so she was like, do you want this? I can't sell it. Like, who wants to buy that? What would I do? Sell it for a couple of bucks? I can just give it away and get rid of it, and then no one will say, hey, go to the bookshop, they had a $2 Witcher omnibus because it had a back cover missing, and you'll never see another one again, and people start bad-mouthing you as a bookshop. Awesome Mike Mignola cover. Some great stories adapted from the Witcher short stories, and if you've seen the TV show, you'll be familiar with it. I haven't read any of the books, but I have read this, and it's cool. I like it. Quite different from the show. The show deviated a bit from the source material. I haven't read the source material. All I've read is this, and it is cool. And I'm like, why isn't this in this show? You know? Yeah. Good luck, Witcher Season 3. And maybe 4. Who knows? Who knows? There's lots on YouTube about what's going on with Witcher Season 3 and 4. Yeah, so I think this is about 5 or 6 different short stories put into comic book form by various writers and artists. Yeah, very cool. Kind of reminds me of Hellboy a little bit, just because of that Mike Mignola cover, plus the whole idea of, you know, a character running around solving little mysteries and defeating monsters. Little mysteries. Big mysteries, Hellboy. Alan Moore again, V for Vendetta, one of the classics. Published back in the early and mid-80s in serial form, and then collected and sold in trade paperback ever since. Adapted into a movie by the Wachowskis, 2005, which was fine. There's a lot from the book that they just couldn't do. The book is quite different from the movie. If you've seen the movie and you enjoyed it, read the comic book. Quite different, but not to the point where it's utterly different. They did a good job with the movie without kind of compelling the world to rise up and take on anarchist principles in daily life, which is what the comic book does. The comic book is way more of an exploration of anarchism, which is what Alan Moore wanted to do. And the movie kind of dilutes it a bit, turns it a bit more 1984 kind of thing. Great art from David Lloyd. I still read this every couple of years just because it's so dense with ideas. And it was published in black and white, I think, back in the day. And it's got some striking imagery, great ideas, amazing, yeah, pretty good dialogue. Yeah, fantastic. Fantastic book. If you haven't read it and you like comics, read it, reread it. Read it every couple of years. You'll get something more out of it every time. Every time notice a little bit more. Kind of like The Invisibles, From Hell, any of those big titles, especially by Alan Moore or Grant Morrison. They just load up their stuff. Load it with stuff. Information. That's it for today. I've got a couple of bonus ones actually. I picked this up at a garage sale on Saturday. The Illustrated Encyclopedia of Firearms. I remember seeing this in a friend's house, like from a crazy uncle or something like that. And I remember seeing this when I was a kid, and I was just like, man, that's a cool book. And it's got like tons of illustrations, photos, just on firearms. I'm not a, I'm a white male. I grew up around guns and stuff in New Zealand, rifles mainly, not handguns. And, the 80s action stuff. So I'm kind of hardwired to appreciate firearms and enjoy video games where I get to use them on people in the face. And, it's a complicated relationship that humans have with firearms and just things that kill other people. But I found this, it was $10, and it's great condition, from 1978, I think. Reprinted 1988, but first published 1978. Great book. Great condition for its age. And I found this at the Salvos the other day. Mysteries of the Universe. It's a little box collection of books. From, who's it from? Fontana. So, Black Holes. Stonehenge Decoded, Citadels of Mystery, and Lost Worlds. All from like various writers, but just got it packaged in this cool little box. And I was just like, $5? Dude, yes, I'll take that. I haven't really looked at them yet. They're, from the late 70s, but they'll have some cool stuff in it. 1973. I think that's when this box came out. That's what she said. Yeah, so this looks around mid-70s, this little collection. And the box is still in good condition. The books, I don't think have ever been read. Oh, no, they've been read. Spines have been broken. And, yeah. I probably won't read these books, but I might dip in and out at some stage when I get back into the mood of those kind of things. But it's just a cool little box, little collection to find for such a reasonable price. God, I love op shops. You never know what you're going to find. Mysteries of the Universe. I found the Mysteries of the Universe in an op shop. Who'd have thunk it? Anyway, that's enough for today. Thanks for tuning in to episode 10 of 1 Foot of Books. Yes, I had to think of that for a second there. Yeah, I was away last week. I should have mentioned this at the start. I was away last week. I was putting a new bed frame together, and I kind of lost track of time before I had to go to work on a Tuesday. I make these on Tuesday mornings because I start late on Tuesdays. And yeah, just time ran away from me. I was making a bed frame that doesn't squeak, it doesn't creak, it doesn't make any noise. It's lovely. My world has been changed. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. On your YouTube journeys, there's lots of stuff out there. I really appreciate that you click onto mine, and if you watched it all the way through, thanks even more. Alright, my name's Shard. You've been watching 1 Foot of Books. I'll see you again next week, okay? Leave a comment below, like, subscribe, share, all that kind of good stuff. Thanks. Bye.